and knee-jerk reactions if we let them. Your outer child manifests outwardly what your inner child feels inside. For instance, if your inner child's core fear is abandonment, it is your outer child that manifests this fear with all sorts of inappropriate behaviors. When you feel insecure in a romantic relationship, outer acts out your vulnerable feelings in ways that can only be interpreted as desperate. You might freak out, freeze up, or blow up when your date keeps you waiting more than a few minutes for a call back. In fact, outer child usually has a hair trigger when it comes to abandonment fear, the nerve that jangles so easily when any of us feel slighted, dismissed, or rejected. Hence, waiting those few minutes for the phone to ring triggers an overriding fear that you will wind up all alone, bereft of love forever. Lest you think that I'm giving a name to this part of your personality in order to let us all off the hook for bad behavior, think again. Being able to identify and recognize your outer child is an important step toward taming it. I have found with my work in private practice with clients and with countless workshop attendees that being able to separate the personality in this way is the first important step toward controlling your actions and your own emotional destiny. I initially coined the term outer child for my book Journey from Abandonment to Healing, 2000. I didn't introduce the concept and a list of outer child traits until nearly the end of the book, but outer child somehow managed to take center stage. Almost immediately after publication, I began hearing from listeners wanting more information about how to tame their wayward outer children. I have spent the last decade applying this tool to a broader range of issues and clinically testing exercises I've adapted to overcome outer child's most entrenched behaviors, a program you'll hear about in this book. You don't have to be that person. Think of the things you yearn for: to have a happier love life, to break free of debt, to achieve greater recognition in your field, and consider all the impulsive little things you do that actually hinder your progress toward those goals. Your outer child represents that hindrance. It's all the counterproductive habits and tendencies that keep you forever wanting to achieve, but always falling short. Let's say your inner child feels a little anxious in a social situation and urgently wants you to make a good impression. Your outer child acts out your nervousness, insisting on making its own impression. It might share information that's way too personal for cocktail party banter, or express an opinion with the kind of vehemence best reserved for competitive debate. So much for that good impression. One of outer's favorite ploys is procrastination. It creates as much sabotage by what it doesn't do as by what it does, gumming up the works with indecision and passivity. For instance, it ignores you when you tell it what to do, like go to the gym. Instead, outer just goes right on eating potato chips and lounging in front of the TV. Outer child is the guy who talks constantly about how he's going to move to a cattle ranch out west, but never gets around to it. You don't have to be that person. You can do something to tip the balance in favor of your adult self when those internal power struggles arise. The concept of the outer child is a revolutionary self-awareness tool that lets you look at your own behavior from a powerful new perspective. It reveals the third dimension of your personality, the self-rebellious dimension. In exploring this new dimension, you gain access to a part of yourself that was operating undercover until now. Those of you familiar with the terms id, ego, and superego may wonder how the concept of an outer child fits in. They are closely related, though outer child is a newly identified component of the psyche, one that expands Freud's theory of the id by taking it into the behavioral realm. We'll explore this relationship in more detail in the next chapter. For now, I want to reassure you that you can redress and redirect your outer child subterfuge. It doesn't have to hold you back any longer. Whether outer child has been preventing you from sticking to a diet, curbing your spending, overcoming performance anxiety, ending procrastination, improving a relationship, becoming a better parent, or reaching your potential, you can finally create the change you've always dreamed of. In the interest of full disclosure, it's important to know that your outer child isn't going to give up its power over you without a fight, which is